The day we got kicked out, the neon sign was the first thing I noticed. It flickered, buzzed, then went dark. I didn't know it at the time, but that broken sign would become the reason everything changed. I was 18. My sister, Mia, was 16. And we had exactly $13 between us when our stepfather decided we were done. "You've had enough time," he said. No yelling, no argument. Just that. Mia stood beside me, gripping the strap of her backpack. "Time for what?" she asked. He didn't even look at her. To stop being my problem, he dropped 2 trash bags onto the porch. Our clothes. That was it. Everything else stayed inside. "Where are we supposed to go?" I asked. He shrugged. "Anywhere but here." Then he shut the door. And just like that, we were homeless. We didn't cry. Not right away. You don't cry when things happen that fast. You just stand there, trying to catch up, trying to understand how everything just disappeared in a single moment. Mia finally exhaled. "Well, this is great." I checked my pocket. $8. She checked hers. 5. 13 total, I said. She gave a small laugh. "We're basically rich." Obviously, we started walking, because standing there felt worse. Our town wasn't big. One main street, a grocery store, a diner, a gas station, and a few scattered buildings that had been there forever. Everyone knew everyone, which meant by the time we reached town, people already knew. Mrs. Carter from the grocery store gave us 2 sandwiches. The gas station clerk let us refill our water bottles. The mechanic nodded at us like he understood. But nobody offered a place to stay. Not because they didn't care, because helping meant getting involved. And people avoid that. That night, we slept behind the laundromat. Concrete floor, cold air, the hum of machines inside the building. Mia curled up beside me. "You got a plan?" she asked. "Working on it." "How's that going?" "Not great." She smiled faintly. "Figures." The next morning, we left town. Not because we wanted to, but because staying meant questions. And questions meant someone eventually calling our stepfather. The road out of town stretched long and empty. Old businesses lined the edge. Most of them closed. Forgotten. Like the town had slowly started letting go of things it didn't need anymore. That's when we saw it. It sat just off the highway, half hidden behind tall weeds and broken fencing. A long, low building with peeling paint and boarded windows. And above it, a rusted neon sign. Sunset Motel. The letters flickered weakly in the morning light. One of them hummed slightly crooked. Another had completely fallen off. Mia stopped walking. "No." "What?" "You're thinking something stupid again." "Maybe." She crossed her arms. "That place looks like it's been dead for 20 years. "Exactly. That's not a good thing." I stepped closer to the fence. The motel stretched across the lot. A row of doors, each one leading to a separate room. Most of them were closed, some barely hanging on their hinges. The parking lot was cracked, grass pushing through the concrete, nature slowly taking it back. But underneath all that, there was structure, space, opportunity. Mia followed my gaze. "You're serious." "I might be." "You're definitely serious." We walked up to the main office. The door was locked, but the glass was dusty enough that I could barely see inside. Old furniture, a counter, a key rack on the wall, still holding room numbers. "This could work," I said. Mia stared at me. "This is your plan. It's better than sleeping behind a laundromat." She sighed. "That's not a high bar." That's when we heard the truck. An old pickup pulled into the lot. Rusty, loud, and familiar. The driver stepped out. Gray beard, work boots, wool-stained hands. "Walter." He looked at us, then at the motel, then back at us again. "You two planning to break in?" he asked. I shook my head. "No, sir." He studied us for a moment. "You living out here now?" Mia answered. "Trying to." Walter nodded slowly, then looked at the building again. "You want it?" I blinked. "What?" "The motel." He pointed at it. "I bought the land a few years back. Thought I'd tear it down for scrap, but never got around to it." Mia stepped forward. "How much?" Walter scratched his beard, then shrugged. $7. Mia and I looked at each other. $7. That was more than half of everything we had. I pulled the money from my pocket, crumpled bills, the last bit of security we had, and handed it to him. Walter took the money, folded it, and nodded. "Well," he said, "guess you two just became motel owners." Standing in front of it after that felt different. Like something had shifted. Like we weren't just passing through anymore. We had something, even if it was broken. The first door we opened took effort. The lock had rusted over. The wood swelled from years of weather. When it finally gave way, the smell hit us immediately. Dust. Mold. Time. Mia coughed. Okay, this is bad. Inside, the room looked frozen. A bed frame. A broken dresser. Curtains hanging halfway off the rod. The ceiling had a water stain that spread across half the surface. But the walls were still standing. I stepped further in. The floor creaked, but didn't break. It's not as bad as it looks, I said. Mia raised an eyebrow. You said that about literally everything so far. Yeah, I said. And I've been right. She looked around again, then sighed. Fine. We spent the rest of the day cleaning. Room 1, then room 2, then 3. Each one was the same. Dust, damage, decay, but also potential. We cleared debris, opened windows, dragged broken furniture outside. By sunset, one room was livable. Barely, but it was enough. That night, we slept on the floor of room 1, wrapped in our jackets, listening to the wind move through the broken parts of the building. Mia stared at the ceiling. You realize something? She said. What? We just bought a motel. For $7. She smiled. Best deal ever. I smiled too. But as I looked out the cracked window, at the empty parking lot, at the broken sign flickering in the distance, I couldn't shake the feeling that this place was hiding something, and we were about to find out what it was. The first few nights in the motel didn't feel like ownership. They felt like survival. The wind moved through the cracks in the walls, whistling low and constant. Somewhere down the row of rooms, a loose door banged softly every few minutes. The building wasn't just old, it sounded old, like it was remembering things. Mia lay beside me on the floor of room 1, staring at the ceiling. You hear that? She whispered. The door. No, something else. I listened. At first, nothing. Then, a faint, hollow thud. Somewhere deeper in the building. Not loud, but not random either. The next morning, we started working again. Because working meant not thinking, and not thinking meant not panicking. We moved room to room, clearing debris, opening windows, letting sunlight push back years of darkness. By midday, we had cleaned 3 rooms enough to walk through without tripping. That's when Mia noticed it. Hey, she said, standing in the doorway of room 4. What? This one feels different. I stepped inside. At first, it looked the same as the others. Broken bed, dust, peeling paint. But then I noticed what she meant. The floor. It sounded off. Not weak. Not broken. Just different. I walked across it slowly. Each step echoed slightly. Hollow. Mia crossed her arms. You thinking what I'm thinking? That this is either really bad or really interesting? Yeah. I grabbed a piece of wood from outside and tapped the floor. Thump. Not solid. Not like the other rooms. We both froze for a second. Because suddenly, the motel didn't feel empty anymore. It felt layered. Move the bed, I said. It took both of us. The frame scraped loudly across the floor as we dragged it aside. Dust filled the air. But underneath it, we saw it. A square panel, built into the floor. Mia crouched down. You've got to be kidding me. I knelt beside her and brushed the dirt away. There was a small metal ring set into the wood. Old, but intact. My heart started racing. Because I knew what this meant. Hidden things. Never meant nothing. You ready? I asked. Mia smirked. You asked that like I'm going to say no. I grabbed the ring. Pulled. At first, it didn't move. Then, with a long, dragging creak, the panel lifted. Cold air rushed up from below. Mia leaned back slightly. Okay, that's definitely not normal. I looked down. Darkness. A narrow set of stairs leading underground. And suddenly, the motel wasn't just a building anymore. Flashlight, I said. She handed it to me. You're going first, she added. Of course I am. The stairs creaked as I stepped down. The air grew cooler with each step. Drier. Still. At the bottom, my boots hit concrete. I swept the flashlight across the room. And froze. It wasn't just a room. It was a tunnel. Concrete walls stretched out in both directions. Low ceiling. Reinforced beams. And shelves. Lining the sides. Shelves filled with things. Mia came down behind me. What is this? I walked forward slowly. Because whatever we had found, it was bigger than anything we expected. The shelves held supplies. Boxes. Cans. Bottles. Tools. Even old mechanical parts. Some of it looked outdated. But a lot of it was still sealed. Still usable. This is like Mia started. A storage system I finished. But it didn't feel random. It felt planned. Intentional. Like someone had built this for a reason. We followed the tunnel. It stretched under the motel, connecting multiple points beneath the building, each section reinforced, each area organized. This wasn't just for storage, Mia said. No, it's too structured. Then we found the room, at the center of the tunnel system, a larger space, more open, and in the middle of it, a table. On the table, a leather-bound notebook. I picked it up. The cover was worn but intact. Mia leaned in. Please tell me that explains everything. Only one way to find out. I opened it. The first page had a name, Harold Whitaker. The next line changed everything. If you found this, then the motel still stands. Good. That means it's still serving its purpose. I felt a chill run through me. What does that mean? Mia asked. I turned the page and started reading. Harold Whitaker had owned the motel decades earlier, back when the highway was busier, when travelers passed through every day. But over time, things changed. Traffic slowed, the town shrank, and the motel started dying. So Harold adapted. He turned it into something else. A supply hub. The notebook explained everything. The tunnels weren't just storage. They were distribution routes. Hidden, protected, built so supplies could be moved without anyone noticing. During harsh winters, during storms, during times when roads were blocked or unsafe, the motel became more than a place to stay. It became a lifeline. Mia's eyes widened. He built all this under a motel? Yeah. For people he didn't even know? I nodded. Looks like it. The next page's detailed inventory systems, rotations, hidden access points, even maps showing connections to nearby land. Then we reached the final page. The handwriting changed. Slower, less steady. If the motel is gone, this doesn't matter. But if it's still here, then someone needs it. I closed the notebook. The silence in the tunnel felt different now. Heavier. Purposeful. We didn't go back upstairs right away. We just stood there, taking it in. Because suddenly, we understood something. We didn't just buy a broken motel. We bought something that had been built to matter. The next few weeks changed everything. We cleaned more, fixed more, restored as much as we could. But this time, we had direction. The motel wasn't just a shelter. It was a system. We reopened 3 rooms, then 5, then 8. Not as a business. Not yet. But as a place people could use. Travelers, truck drivers, people passing through. Some stayed for a night. Some just needed water. Some needed help. And slowly, word spread. The old motel on the edge of town was open again. Then the storm came. Hard, fast, relentless. Rain flooded the roads. Wind tore through the highway. Power lines went down across the county. Cars got stranded. People got stuck. And that's when they started showing up. At first, just a few. Then more. Then dozens. Families. Travelers. Neighbors. All looking for the same thing. Safety. We opened every room. And when that wasn't enough, we opened the tunnels. The underground system held, just like it was designed to. Dry, stable, safe. We brought supplies down. Food, water, blankets, everything Harold had left behind, finally being used. By morning, the storm had passed. The damage outside was real. Flooded roads, broken fences, downed trees. But inside the motel, everyone was safe. That evening, Mia and I stood outside, looking at the sign, the same flickering neon. But it didn't feel broken anymore. You realize something? She said. What? We didn't just buy a motel. I looked at the building, at the people leaving, at the place that had gone from forgotten to necessary. No, I said. We built something. The wind moved softly across the empty lot. And for the first time since we got kicked out, we weren't just surviving. We were part of something bigger.